What is going on, Alabama fans? Chris Daughtry here with another edition of the Alabama Football Report by Chat Sports. And why should you guys be subscribed right here to the channel? Well, we do daily Alabama football videos for you guys. Any news or rumors that is coming out of fall camp, any recruiting news that comes out, and we also have watch parties for every single Alabama football game for you guys. And we're building a massive community here on the channel of just Alabama football fans. So do not miss out. Make sure you guys hit that sub button for me. It's youtube.com/@RollTideTV. All right, coming up on today's show, we've got some injury updates to hit for you guys on the top part of today's show. Also, Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb have talked about Alabama's quarterback battle and just kind of where things sit right now. And also, Jaylen Mbakwe has been shining at practice at that wide receiver spot. Want to talk about that and also that Bandit position, specifically the backups, Keon Keeley and Jordan Renaud. Kane Womack, Alabama's defensive coordinator, also talked about those guys as well. First thing I want to get into some injury updates for you guys. Freshman wide receiver Lotzeir Brooks was seen in a walking boot and a non-contact jersey the other day during practice, and a lot of people really kind of did freak out about that. And, you know, according to Kalen DeBoer, it wasn't really anything to freak out about. He said it won't be anything long-term. I don't know if it's just day-to-day, but it's not going to be something that is extended, and I think that's a pretty positive update there. I believe it was also Nick Kelly also asked about Quay Russaw. Apparently, you know, reporters have been going out there and they, you know, maybe saw him kind of just standing over to the side a little bit more than usual. Kalen DeBoer said that there is nothing as far as anything that we're concerned about. The volume is just a little bit tweaked. But he's going to be all good. So nothing to worry there about Quay Russaw, and really nothing to worry there about Lotzeir Brooks either. Did also want to mention right before we started filming this video an update on Josh Cuevas came out, and Kalen DeBoer also said that they're just going to continue ramping things up. You know, he was out towards the back half of spring camp, so, you know, just continuing to go through some of that rehab, but still a long way before, still a couple of weeks now before Alabama kicks off the beginning of the season. Those guys should be good to go. All right, Alabama's coaching staff has also talked about this ongoing quarterback battle right now between Ty Simpson, Austin Mack, and Keelon Russell, and it, you know, still continues to seem like Ty Simpson has been the most consistent quarterback for Alabama through these first 4 of 20 practices that they're going to have before that Florida State game. Kalen DeBoer mentioned that, you know, those near misses that we talked about last week are now turning into completions. You know, that timing between these quarterbacks and the wide receivers are really starting to come back from where they were during the springtime and then through the summertime as well. Just going through all the processes, things are really starting to click now. A couple of practices in, they're also taking advantage, you know, what the defense is giving them. If that is check downs, they're checking it down to the running backs, and, you know, those running backs are doing a very good job as well, turning those check downs into first downs, because, you know, taking what the defense gives you is one of the best things that you can do as a quarterback. Not pushing things, not trying to force things, because when you force things, that ends up, you know, turning to turnovers at the end of the day. And Ty Simpson really does seem to be taking and keeping so far control right now of this Alabama quarterback battle. So what is your are you confident in Ty Simpson? Type Y for yes or N for no down in the comment section of today's video, at the pinned comment actually of today's video. I know back during the spring camp through summertime, there were some people that were like, not buying it right now with Ty Simpson. I think as, you know, practice is continuing to, you know, unfold in these you know, coaching, whether it's Ryan Grubb or Kalen DeBoer, they're really starting to get more comfortable with Ty Simpson, it seems like. So I want to hear from you guys. Are you confident in Ty Simpson? Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section of today's show. All right, Alabama's offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb also gave us a little bit of an update from his perspective on this Alabama quarterback battle. He said all of these guys are in different levels of their progression as quarterbacks in college, and I think that all of them have a lot of different strengths. I think that right now Ty is continuing to show a ton of command, and I thought he did a better job today than the other two guys did with that. This was a couple of days ago, by the way. He said, So he continues to progress as a leader. And Keon's ability to see the field and just his vision, his innate ability to make a play, even potentially when there's not one there, is a really, really high level. And then there's Austin Mack, just has elite arm talent. You know, he's a big guy that's strong and can power through things. Now, there's one, line that this coaching staff keeps going back to. It's the fact that these quarterbacks are at different levels right now in their career in college. You know, it kind of reminds me, I'm a massive UFC fan, and it, reminds me of that young, exciting contender, a.k.a. Bo Nickel, who is flying up the rankings and just dominating every single person that they face. And then they run into somebody who is just on a different level, a.k.a. Renaud, who ended up knocking him out with knees to the body. That's not something that anybody does to Bo Nickel, for any of you UFC fans out there. But this Alabama coaching staff keeps saying the same thing over and over again about this Alabama quarterback battle, and it's that these guys are at different levels right now. And, they've been telling us this about Ty Simpson for a while now. You go all the way back to spring practice. They were saying it then. And I almost don't even want to call this a quarterback battle anymore. At this point, I think it's just Ty Simpson versus himself. All of these other fan bases and national media, those people can doubt Ty Simpson. They can continue to rank him low outside the top 10 in their SEC quarterback rankings. They can look at his lack of stats in college and not be afraid of him all they want. But these other fan bases think that he is just going to be a very mediocre game manager at best. I keep seeing these comparisons to Mac Jones. I honestly think these guys are two completely different players. They don't realize that this kid is exceptional on his feet, making plays outside the pocket, his ability to pick up first downs with his legs. I think a lot of people nationally are going to be really surprised at the athlete that Ty Simpson is going to be this season. All right, we'll continue with some more updates and rumors around practice here in just a second, but want to continue to push this Alabama quarter zip. It is a Columbia quarter zip as well, so it's really nice quality. It was $90 on sale right now for $45. You guys can also use promo code CLASS to get 25% off of that as well. Just go to chatsports.com/BamaQTRZip. QTR because it's a quarter zip there. That link will be down in the comment section and the description of today's video, but you should really go out there and get it right now while it's a little bit warmer. Once it gets a little bit cooler, that price is going to go back up to that $90. So get it right now while it's on sale, only $45. Go to chatsports.com/BamaQTRZip. All right, next up on today's show, Jaylen Mbakwe looks to carve out a rotational role in Alabama's wide receiver, depth chart this season. And while I still believe it is going to be kind of tough for him to get on the field on the offensive side of the ball, because that Alabama wide receiver room depth is just so deep right now, especially with those starters. Those guys are going to be absolutely incredible this year, in my opinion, for Alabama, but it's not going to be impossible. If he goes out there and continues to do the right things, continues to make plays during practice, he's going to end up carving out that role. It's just going to be a matter of how many snaps he's actually going to be able to get during the season, because this kid is a dynamic playmaker with the ball in his hands. We talked about it the other day. His time in high school, he played quarterback, he played running back, he played wide receiver. He did kickoff return, he did punt return. This kid did absolutely everything for his high school, and I think, he played very well last year in his time on defense, and even when he got an opportunity to return punts last year for Alabama. But this year, he is looking to really carve out a spot in that wide receiver depth chart. This is what Kalen DeBoer had to say about Jaylen Mbakwe the other day. He said, Jaylen Mbakwe's made some nice plays here. He's actually gotten practice kicked off in a good way from an offensive standpoint with some big plays early on. So again, growth is happening. It's fun. It's great to see. I feel like any player, you're always looking. Can you trust him to get lined up? Can you trust him to do his job? Those are really things that I am not worried about with Bach. So now it's just getting comfortable more and more with the offense and the timing and working with the guys around him. That growth I would hope for is what I am seeing. And this is what I'm talking about with Alabama's loaded wide receiver room. We've talked about this so much, and I would assume most of you guys are just as excited as I am about this wide receiver room with Jeremy Bernard, potential first, second round NFL draft pick next year. Ryan Williams would be a top 2 wide receiver in college football if he was eligible for next year's NFL draft. Isaiah Horton, had like 600 yards, 50 catches, something around there last year, which would have been like good for third on Alabama's team last year as well. And he was like the 5th wide receiver at Miami last year. Jalen Hale's coming back. Cole Adams is there. Rico Scott, 23.5-mile-an-hour type of speed for him. He's going to carve out a spot in this wide receiver room for Alabama. So, I do think it's going to be a little bit tough for Jaylen Mbakwe to actually, carve out playing time on offense. Like I said, he is still a dynamic playmaker with the football in his hands. We'll see what happens. But this is what Ryan Grubb also talked about. One of the questions to him was, hey, when you're talking about this wide receiver room, how do you actually pick and choose, which players are actually getting reps and which guys are actually going to be in what position in the rotation? And he said, you want to have a deep, talented room. We certainly have that at Alabama. So for us, it's just going to be who are the guys who are able to consistently do the same things every day, make the plays, make the tough catches, block. That is a prerequisite to be able to block, to play wide receiver here at Alabama. So let me know down in the comment section, how many catches do you guys think Jaylen Mbakwe will have this season? Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section of today's show. Is it north of 10? Is it north of 20? I think it could be, honestly, kind of anywhere in that range. I don't think probably going to get more than, 30, 40, 50 catches or anything like that. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section of today's show. Lastly, here on today's show, Alabama defensive coordinator Kane Womack actually was asked about this Bandit room and specifically about the depth behind LT Overton. He mentioned Keon Keeley and Jordan Renaud as guys who are really the next ones up in that Bandit room here. And you think about Alabama's 2023 recruiting class, the recruiting class that both of these guys came into Alabama, and you had 2 top 100 players there in both of these guys. And 2 top 10 edges as well. Keon Keeley, we know the story behind him. Number 1 edge, number 2 player overall coming out of the state of Florida. But then Jordan Renaud, he played a little bit last year as well. And, I thought he did a really, really good job when he was in there last year for Alabama. Keon Keeley, since he's been on campus, his 247 sports page coming out of high school had him listed at 242 pounds. Well, right now on Alabama's roster, he's listed at 282 pounds. So since he's been on campus, he has put on 40 pounds of weight. And also Jordan Renaud, same thing. He's put on 20 pounds of weight, going from 245 to 265. So a little bit different, body types in terms of both of these guys. Keon Keeley's still about 20 more pounds heavier than Jordan Renaud. So I think both these guys are going to have kind of different roles carved out for them at that Bandit spot. But man, I know everybody has been so excited about Keon Keeley, but I do not want to overlook a guy like Jordan Renaud at that Bandit spot. So let me know who will have more snaps at that Bandit spot in 2025. Type KK if you think it's going to be Keon Keeley, or type JR if you think it's going to be Jordan Renaud. I think both of these guys are going to be really, really good for Alabama this season and another season, at least one more season to come as well. All right, this is what Kane Womack said specifically about Alabama's Bandit depth. He said, I'm excited about some of the guys that are working in that position right now. Obviously, Keon Keeley and Jordan Renaud are getting a good bit of the reps there. Both of them, it is fun to watch their evolution and their growth over the last 18 months. I think both of them have taken huge strides and big steps towards being able to contribute for us, and so really just excited about what both of those guys can do. We talked about Keon Keeley. Now let's talk about Jordan Renaud a little bit more. Look, last year, he played a decent bit for Alabama. I say a decent bit, just more than, some of those other backups for Alabama last season. 140 snaps, he had 14 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, a half a sack, but also was credited with 9 stops as well, and that's kind of just making, some of those tackles at the line of scrimmage. So going into this season, both of these guys are going to contribute, My biggest question is which guy is actually going to get a bigger snap share and which guy is going to contribute more.